I once thought life had a rhythm, a steady beat that pushed you forward, whether you liked it or not. I danced to that rhythm for years, following the steps without question. School, work, marriage, parenting. Every moment aligned as if planned, part of a pattern I never questioned. If I had looked more closely, I might have noticed the irregularities, the offbeat moments, the times when the music faltered, when the steps felt forced, and maybe I would have seen the discord before it became too much. I recall the first time I sensed it, a small tremor below, signaling that something was changing. It was a quiet, forgettable moment. Diana and I sat on the porch one humid evening, watching the boys chase fireflies. She laughed, but her eyes didn't match the smile. I asked her what was on her mind, and she just smiled and shook her head. She said nothing, dismissing the question. I didn't press. I ought to have. I wonder how many small moments I let slip by, how often I confused distance with distraction and silence with contentment. I wonder if there was a version of our life where I could have changed the ending before it was set. Maybe I always knew. That nagging feeling and weight in my chest had been telling me for years what I wouldn't admit. No matter how much I loved Diana or what we built, there was a part of her I could never truly reach. Tonight, standing in the dim hallway with my packed suitcases and a broken heart, I realized some things can't be saved. She stood in the dim hallway, staring at the packed suitcases, my laptop, and the briefcase by the door. They sat there for a while, but only now did she really see them. I saw her throat tighten, her breath catching before she turned to me. "Lyle, you've lost your mind," she said, her voice shaking with anger and disbelief. "You're leaving us over one fight?" I was intoxicated. "I made a mistake, but I didn't cheat. I never betrayed you. You're acting like this is a disaster." I didn't respond. No more words were needed. She stepped toward me, and I instinctively raised a hand, not to warn her, but to stop her from getting closer. She hesitated, and I noticed the flicker of doubt in her expression and the slight shift in her stance. She gets it now. This was more than frustration or hurt pride. It was something deeper, something final. She stepped back, her breath hitching, voice quiet but steady. "Just tell me why." I breathed out. "I finally see things clearly." Her eyebrows furrowed. She echoed clearly. "What does that mean? You act like you're the smartest person here, as if I can't understand. Just say it clearly." I rubbed my forehead, realizing I couldn't soften this. "Sorry, Diana. I don't want to do this. Life can feel like a trap. We wake up, go to work, pay bills, and stress about weight and others' opinions. We often get lost in daily tasks and forget to look at the bigger picture, but sometimes something makes us pause and reflect." She waited, holding her breath. "That happened to me tonight." She exhaled sharply, frustration showing on her face. "What did you actually see?" I looked at her. In the dim light, I could tell she sensed the weight of my words. "I saw us, Diana. It's about who we are now, who we were, and what we've become. This isn't about the party." I agree. It would be silly to leave because of one bad night. I'm leaving for a different reason. I'm leaving because I realized this marriage was a mistake. I care for you, but not in a meaningful way. You don't love me as you should. You stay not out of happiness, but because you believe it's the right choice. We're too young to spend the next 40 or 50 years pretending this is enough." Her fists were clenched, breathing uneven. I might have heard her heartbeat. It might have been mine. I kept going. I couldn't do it. That's why I'm going. Once this conversation ends, I'm out. I pulled into the driveway at 9:30 p.m. 3 hours ago. My phone has been silent since I left Rivers Trailer Park south of Palaca at 8. Diana and much of her extended family had been drinking and dancing, as they did every month for the past 8 years. Our house in Jacksonville, a city of a million, was dark except for the flickering yard light. I dragged myself up the driveway, exhaustion weighing me down. It was a long night. I felt more like 74 than 34. I just wanted to sneak in with a six-pack of Michelob Light. That was my only plan. I switched on the kitchen light, sat down at the dining table, and opened a bottle. The cold drink burned going down. One more sip. I waited for my phone to ring. Quiet. I looked at the refrigerator. Billy's school drawings hung crookedly, held by mismatched magnets. David catching his first pass in a Pop Warner game. My throat felt tight. David has his mother's dark hair and light brown eyes, unlike mine. Billy, and he meant the world to me. Diana as well, long ago. A few hours ago, I almost lost everything. It felt like being on train tracks, watching the train rush toward me, unable to move. I sipped again and rested my head on the table. Only for a moment. I finished the bottle, stood up, and went upstairs. I took out the suitcases Diana and I used on our last Bahamas cruise. Packed shirts, slacks, jackets, a razor, a toothbrush, my meds, everything to start over. I leaned against the dresser, fighting back a wave of nausea. This was more than a trip. It was a getaway. I wasn't returning. Overthinking would make me hesitate. I didn't. I kept going. Focus on one thing at a time. I took my laptop, briefcase, and college work. I took everything downstairs and stacked it near the dining room, out of sight unless someone came in. I grabbed the six-pack, now with one missing, and headed into the office. The hallway turned right into a small office. I settled into the armchair, placing the Michelob on the coffee table. A floor lamp stood unlit behind me. I got on a chair and adjusted the central light bulb to keep the room dark even if the switch was flipped. I leaned back, feeling the weight of the house settle over me. A house that never felt like home. I opened another Michelob and enjoyed it slowly. My phone lit up at 11 p.m. Diana. The screen of my old Nokia flip phone lit up in the dark. I let it ring. A voicemail arrived 3 minutes later. I overlooked it. One more call. Next one. 3 minutes. 5, 10. Diana again. Her father, brother, sister. Then Diana again. If I had the energy, I might find the constant calls amusing. But any part of me that used to laugh at this has faded away long ago. I didn't think I'd find anything funny for a while. Whenever. The phone rang. My cell. The house phone rang again. I finished my second beer and opened a third. I had lost everything, yet a part of me still hoped I could turn back time. I wish I could undo tonight. I knew the truth inside. This is more than tonight. It had been falling apart for years. Fixing it would mean rewriting 8 years of my life. That wasn't possible. November air was crisp and chilly. Nice, but not aggressive. The RV park near Lake Como is just past the large party tent. Wide open, almost empty. Perfect for Richard Carter and his family's lively monthly get-togethers. No onlookers. No police presence. Music is just loud. A crowd full of booze, ready to let go of the week's stress. Richard and Ricky raised 9 kids. 8 were still alive. When their extended family and close friends gathered, there were often over 100 people. Richard, who built a successful paving business and made a small fortune, took pride in hosting legendary Saturday night celebrations. Southern rock played loudly from the speakers. Tables were loaded with fried chicken, barbecued ribs, fresh oysters in season, and plenty of beer and liquor. Diana and I didn't go every month, but we attended when we could. Richard and Ricky welcomed me warmly. An outsider from the north. I was never really one of them. In their world, real men sold cars, built homes, or repaired engines. Me? I stood before uninterested college students discussing literature, which the Carters found irrelevant. Drinking began early. By noon, they were already opening the bottles. Trailers and cabins were available for those who partied too hard. Diana and I had our trusted friends watch the boys, as usual. Some nights, we got home. We didn't do that with others. It was an unspoken understanding. At night, the old concrete dance pavilion came alive. Southern rock played loudly. Charred meat filled the air as the crowd swayed to music under string lights. I didn't drink or dance, so I stayed on the sidelines, mindlessly picking at some grapes. I saw her. Diana glided through the dim light in her white dress, her dark hair catching the fading daylight. I had seen many beautiful women, but none like her. At these gatherings, I often watched her, noting how easily she belonged to this world, a world I would always be apart from. She chose me, the Yankee, the misfit, out of all the men here. I took her away from the line of Southern boys who wanted her. The mix of alcohol, loud music, and past relationships caused tension. On the dance floor, Kelly's ex pressed too close, grinding against her until her husband, Billy, knocked him down. 5 minutes later, they shook hands, grinning as if nothing had happened. Kelly pulled Billy into the shadows to do what they always did after a fight. The pavilion got busier, with Richard and Ricky swaying to the beat. I realized then. I lost track of Diana. I felt a sinking sensation in my stomach as I looked at the crowd. I saw her. She danced slowly with a tall man, his dark hair glowing in the lights, his hands drifting lower than they should, fingertips brushing the edge of her dress. I saw her push them aside, but it didn't matter. He held her tightly. Bobby Trescott, an old admirer who never accepted that she chose me. He had lingered at the edges for years, unable to let go. He still called and dropped by sometimes. Diana claimed they were just friends. At every party, Bobby danced too close, his hands wandering where they shouldn't. He never missed a chance to jab at me, always getting laughs from the crowd at my expense. I stepped forward, my jaw tight, jealousy burning inside me. I swallowed it. Diana was tipsy, relaxed enough to lean into his arms. I moved in closer so they could hear me. "Can I join you, Bobby?" Diana turned, smiling slowly and effortlessly. "Hey, I'm dancing with Bobby. It's our prom song. I promised him one. Is that okay with you?" Bobby smirked, and, to ensure I noticed, his left hand slipped under her blouse, brushing her chest. I saw the moment, hidden from the rest of the party by darkness. Diana tensed up. She gave him a warning look and then faced me. Was she mad at him for touching her, or at me for seeing it? I clenched my fists. "Bobby, get your hand off my wife," he grinned wider. "What is it, Lyle?" "Lyle? What kind of name is that? That sounds like a name for a little girl." He mocked by stretching the syllables. Lyle chuckled. "That's really funny. I hadn't fought in 20 years, but I stood tall. I don't care about my name. Release my wife." Diana pushed him away. "All right, Bobby, that's enough. Why do you always act like that around Lyle? He's my husband, not like you. You want to provoke him into a fight because you believe you'd win. That's unfair." She turned to me. "Lyle, I'm not a kid. Bobby's drunk, but I got this. I've known him forever. Don't make this more than it is." She tried to save me. She believed I needed help. Some nearby people noticed the exchange, and muffled laughter filled the night. My pulse thundered in my ears. "What did you just say?" I insisted. Her expression changed, as if she just realized what she had said. "Lyle, I didn't mean that. How could you say it?" Bobby pushed her away and moved closer. "She's saying that if you do anything, I'll hit you hard." He leaned in and smiled. "I haven't done it because she keeps asking me not to. What type of man hides behind his wife?" I bit my cheek hard. "Do you know what type?" Bobby scoffed. "A fool who took my girl and believes that makes him a man. She got pregnant twice, but let's be honest. She might not have believed you had the tools for it." Someone was running after me. Dave and his friend grabbed Bobby's arms to hold him back. I stepped forward but slipped on a slick patch. Maybe spilled beer. I fell to the concrete, the impact taking my breath away. Stars burst in my vision. Bobby didn't resist the hands holding him back. He didn't have to. He had already won. He laughed as he mentioned the equipment. "Ask Diana. She thought mine was really good. A pencil could do better than you." Snickers spread among the crowd. I got up and looked at the faces. Some tried to conceal their laughter. I found Diana. She was neither laughing nor angry. That was worse. Richard Carter spoke above the noise. "That's enough, Bobby. This time, you crossed the line after years of attending these parties. Leave now." I looked at Diana, expecting her to speak, but she just turned away. "Dad, please stop." She spoke calmly. "Bobby drank too much. He didn't mean anything. You know how he and Lyle are. They argue, but it's nothing. I promised him this dance." Richard looked at her like a stranger. "What did he say about your husband?" Diana looked at me, expressionless. "Lyle is an adult, Dad. If he's upset, he knows how to handle it. Right, baby?" I stood silently. I turned and walked away. Bobby's laughter trailed behind me, more chuckles. I urged myself to believe Diana wasn't there, but I didn't turn around. Richard walked beside me, speaking in a low, measured tone. "I understand you're angry, but please listen to me. Diana loves you, but women," he said, shaking his head. "Even good ones need to know their man will stand up for them sometimes. It might not matter where you're from, but here it does. A woman won't respect a man who doesn't stand up for her when another guy oversteps. If Bobby hit you hard, at least she'd see you cared enough to try." I continued on. "You might be right, Richard. That might be how it works here. Where I come from, women don't put their husbands in that situation. Only if they love them. If their marriage is real, then no." I looked at him. "I'm unsure about both right now." He grabbed my arm, and out of respect, I didn't pull away. He admitted she might have been out of line, his voice softer. "She might have crossed a line. I can't do that. I'm her dad. She loves you. Avoid reckless actions. Calm down. Grab a drink. This will pass. Possibly." I left for good. At 12:45, headlights cut through the dark. I sat in the dim living room, a beer and a half in me, not drunk, just detached enough to feel nothing. Car doors slammed, and muffled voices floated in the night air. I stayed put, waiting to see who would arrive. I cracked the window to let in the cool night air, despite the house already being cold. The driveway sloped down, allowing me to hear their quiet conversation as if they were right next to me. "He's here," Dave said. Diana sighed in relief. "What a coward," Kelly snapped. Dave called him a pathetic excuse for a man. "Calm down," Kelly replied. "After what you did, be thankful he came home instead of leaving with someone else like many guys would." "Be quiet. He's my husband," Diana said sharply. Kelly scoffed at a husband who sulks and leaves when hurt. "What kind of guy does that?" Dave said it's the kind where the wife lets her ex grope her at a party. His tone was sharp and brief. "If you weren't my sister and didn't have kids, I'd tell him to leave and find someone better." I listened quietly. Diana was the ideal Southern woman, never cursing or raising her voice, even in private. Tonight broke many illusions. The front door opened, and the hallway light turned on. Dave entered first, followed closely by Diana. He saw me right away. "Hi, Lyle." "Dave." The silence lingered. I wasn't going to be the first to talk to her. Diana finally broke it. "Lyle." I avoided looking at her. "Diana, are you okay?" Dave inquired. "Am I okay? Thanks for asking." Diana reacted sharply. I smiled. "Love you too." Diana tensed up. If Dave hadn't grabbed her wrist, I didn't know what she would do. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged, and her white dress was wrinkled and stained. The party continued after I left. She spat, her voice full of sarcasm. "Do you find it amusing to vanish without a word? Who does this?" I finally saw her. "I'm not sure. A man who watches his wife let another man touch her in public." Her face turned bright red. Dave glanced at her, then faced me. "You had us worried," Dave said, his voice calm. "Why didn't you pick up your phone?" I wasn't in the mood to talk. Dave sighed and rubbed his jaw. "That's fair. I'll let you two continue. Last night was long." "A long night," he paused before adding. "Are you okay?" I chuckled without humor. "I'm not okay, Dave. It might take some time. That's not your issue. Thanks for bringing her back. She could have stayed with Bobby or at the RV park." Dave looked at us and exhaled slowly. "Diana, please walk me out." I remained still as their voices floated in from the driveway, just outside his truck. "Text, damn him, Dave," Diana muttered, frustration in her voice. "He's a jerk. Most men would have punched Bobby, or at least gotten drunk, done something, anything, instead of just walking away." Dave let out a sigh. "I would have kicked him, Bobby's a. So would many of the guys we know. Lyle isn't that type of person. You knew that when you married him." Diana broke the silence again, her voice softer this time. Dave's voice was low, steady, and strong. "You said, and I quote, he's not the type who comes home greasy, gets drunk on weekends, and spits on you for gaining weight. He'll look after me and the kids. He will be loyal. He's a nice guy. You wanted more, and now you have it. What now? You're embarrassing him now. If Bobby doesn't get what he wants tonight, he likely will soon." Dave continued, "I was once proud of you, Diana. I wonder if you're just another woman who will go through several husbands, bringing new boyfriends home while your parents disapprove." "Jesus, Dave, just grow up," she said sharply. "I got carried away, okay? It was nice to feel young again. My husband should have stepped up. He should have stopped me and reminded me who I belonged to. But I forgot. He isn't that man. He's angry now, but it will fade. One night, one fight. I'll talk to him, fix things, and by morning, it will all be behind us." People don't break up over a single argument. Dave chuckled without humor. "Do you actually believe that? Do you think I don't know your husband? I understand his world better than you. My clients' kids attend GU, and they mention him. He's young, smart, and many women on campus find him attractive. Do you really think he'll sulk over you forever? I heard a coworker chased him so hard the dean had to intervene." He let out a sigh. "Go back inside and do what you need to do. If you lose him, Diana, he won't be alone for long. The talk is over." Diana stood still in the office doorway. She was silent. I didn't either. She stepped forward. I raised my hand. "Halt. Go sit by the TV." She looked surprised. She was surprised by that. She believed she could walk over, kneel, hug me, and kiss me. That would make everything vanish. We'd be in bed, and by morning, none of this would matter. Nope, not this time. She took a deep breath to steady herself. "Lyle, I messed up tonight. No more lectures. I've had enough. It feels like I'm an outsider while they treat each other like family. I was drunk, okay? Bobby was too. You're aware of our past. We've been friends since childhood. He never got over that I chose you over him. I truly feel sorry for him. I raised an eyebrow. What's the point? You let him touch you because you felt sorry for him? Her expression soured, irritation evident in her eyes. He's been having a tough time. Some light flirting lifted his spirits. It wasn't meant to be anything until you barged in, acting jealous, and ruined it. Lyle is my friend. You're my partner. The man I adore. She sat stiffly in the hard wooden chair, the most uncomfortable seat in the room, just as I planned. I don't want to change the subject, I said calmly. I have a question. I left the party at 8. My phone rang just before 11. It was a big event with many distractions, but it took 3 hours for anyone to notice I was gone. If we hadn't argued, you might not have noticed until morning. That shows my place in your life. Her lips parted, anger flaring, but she hesitated. She seemed to understand. Her eyes widened a bit. Lyle, wow. You don't know, right? I folded my arms. Guess what? She rubbed her arms as if she were cold. Things went wrong after you left. I honestly forgot about you. Everyone did for a time. I care. It's just... It got wild. I stayed focused. How is that crazy? She gulped. I danced with Bobby after you left. I was angry. I know you're not the type to fight, but this feels really immature. It hurt that you didn't try at all. If he had touched you, I would have been there, caring for you. I wanted that. You chose to walk away. I was upset, so I danced with him. She lowered her voice. He was intoxicated. He vanished after a few songs. I thought he went to the lake or behind a cabin. I moved on, spoke to a few people, and didn't think about it much until I heard a scream. She breathed out slowly. Everyone rushed to the water. A crowd gathered around a person on the ground. I kept going and... She paused. Bobby did it. His face was a disaster. One eye is swollen shut. His arm and a few fingers are broken. Dave and a few others stood over him, debating whether to call the sheriff. 3 bikers confronted him, saying we were too loud and ruining their night. He resisted, but he was outnumbered. It was bad. We called an ambulance, and the sheriff sent deputies to find the culprits. Then, people began checking in to ensure everyone was present. I paused before stating the obvious. It took 3 hours. After hearing about violent bikers nearby, you didn't think to check where I was? Diana bit her lip and looked away. It clicked. You weren't there, right? I spoke steadily, but my chest felt tight. You went to the hospital with him. Our eyes locked. Initially unsure, then confident. Unyielding. While he was hurt. He hurt. He invited me to join him. I said it plainly. You couldn't say no. She snapped. It was the right thing to do. If you weren't so angry, you'd understand. Sure. He's a longtime friend. The one you used to sleep with. You had to be with him. She tensed her shoulders. I stepped closer, my voice softer but sharp. You slept with him, right? She glanced away briefly before meeting my eyes, her voice steady and intentional. Sure, Lyle. You knew that already. It was serious. We spent a lot of time together. He was good. Good, even. Am I a hooker now? How about you? You weren't a virgin when we married? Should I be upset with every woman you've been with? I didn't say anything. That was then. This is now, she said. I went when he asked. I held his uninjured hand as the paramedics worked. EMTs and people were everywhere, but nothing happened. Even alone, it wouldn't have mattered. Bobby has too much respect for me to do anything. I gave a brief, humorless laugh. Did I mention I was jealous? You don't need to, she said softly. I notice it whenever he's here, and I understand. If you were with a woman from your past, I'd feel the same. She softened her tone. Did you think of me at all? I stayed silent, and she looked down. Lyle, that's unfair. Bobby was hurt, and everyone was scrambling to sort things out. No. She stayed quiet. When did someone remember I was here? She spoke softly. Once they patched up Bobby, his brother picked him up. I rode back with Kelly and Billy. When I arrived, Dad asked if I had seen you. I laughed slowly and bitterly. Sounds good. Your father noticed I was gone before you did. Her eyes shone, tears about to fall. You're just trying to hurt me now. I messed up, and you want to make it worse. Congrats, it's working. She looked at me, waiting. I wasn't sure why. Is there a pause in my anger? Any sign of forgiveness? I had nothing more to give. I said plainly, at least we cleared everything up. She looked up. What is it? I stayed to talk to you first. I can go now? Fear flashed in her eyes. Where are you headed? You're kidding. We argued. Okay, it was a bad one. I love you. People don't leave after a single argument. What's wrong? We were happy this morning. What changed in less than a day that made you want to throw everything away? I didn't respond. I pointed to the hallway where our kids were sleeping. Leave. She paused briefly before getting up from the chair and leaving the room. I knew what she would find. Bags, laptop, briefcase, everything's packed and ready. Moments later, she came back, moving slowly, shaking her head in disbelief as if she couldn't process what she saw. Are you really doing this, Lyle? You're really leaving us over one argument? Her voice mixed frustration with desperation. I was drunk, okay? I made a mistake, but I didn't cheat. I haven't done anything to ruin our life together. You're being unreasonable. No response. She stepped toward me, but I raised a hand to stop her. She froze, her shoulders tensing as she looked at me. Why can't you tell me? Simply, can I have that much? I looked into her eyes. I realized something important. She blinked, confusion on her face. Clear moment. I let out a sigh. Ugh, Lyle, she said, rubbing her temples. Sometimes, it feels like you enjoy complicating things. I get that you think you're smarter than me and everyone else here, but could you please say something I can actually understand just once? She was right. I spent years thinking my perspective was better. I didn't realize how isolating that was. I'm sorry, Diana. I truly meant it. Sometimes we get caught up in daily routines, work, bills, kids, and worries, forgetting to step back and see the bigger picture. We often don't see how far we've drifted until something makes us notice. She waited, holding her breath. Tonight, I saw the truth. She shook her head, growing frustrated. You keep saying that, but what does it mean? What did you observe? It was the hardest thing to say, knowing there was no turning back once I spoke. I was ending our life together, breaking the future I envisioned with her and our children. She needed to hear the truth. I saw us, Diana. I saw who we are, who we were, and what we've become. It was unrelated to the party. I agree. It would be absurd to leave over one mistake. I'm leaving for a different reason. She took a deep breath, preparing herself. I'm leaving. Our marriage was a mistake. I love you. You don't love me. That's not how it should be done. I will never be enough for you the way you need. You, being a good person, would never leave me, even if you could. We're too young to be stuck in something wrong for the next 40 or 50 years. She cried. She cried for more than herself. She mourned the life we built, the one we were about to lose. In that moment, I realized she loved me, not in the way I always loved her. Why do you say that? She spoke softly. Why are you so cruel? I looked at her, speaking calmly. I answered 2 questions, and if I'm wrong, I'll remain. Fear flashed across her face, as if she already knew what was coming. Did you ever cheat on me, Diana? Have you been with anyone else since our marriage? She was silent. She didn't have to. Her silence said it all. Thanks, I said. I still love you for that. You might have lied. You could have told the truth. You won't lie to me because the truth would hurt me, and we both know what it is. The silence was overwhelming. What's the second question? Do you love me? Her eyes filled with tears. I love you, Lyle. Why would you ask that? You're my spouse. I didn't ask for that. She paused. You care for your parents, children, and siblings. You'd do anything for them. Being in love is different. Being near someone makes your heart race. Their touch makes you shiver. When you want them, think about them, need them. I feel that way about you. A sob stuck in her throat. I'm not sure if you ever felt that way about me, I said. You might have, but I know you don't anymore. You care for me, but not like a wife should love her husband. She jumped from the chair and approached me, eyes blazing. Is this sexual? Is this really what it's about? Are you upset that I'm not more adventurous in bed? I stepped into the light. She gasped, her face pale. Wow. I looked at her, my voice cold. You never say my name in bed, Diana. You've never sounded like that with anyone else. Just let me handle it. Do you think I haven't seen how little you want me? She paused, hesitated, then reached out, her fingers trembling as they touched my face, tracing the swollen flesh around my nearly shut eye. I saw what she saw, bruises in deep purple, fading to yellow, a split lip, swollen and cracked. She gasped. Oh my God, she whispered, fear in her voice. They reached you as well. Why didn't you go to the hospital? I attempted to smile, but the effort caused a sharp pain in my face. Her twisted expression showed I looked as bad as I felt. I said, you should see the other guy, and I could see her understanding grow. Horror transformed into something different. Awareness. I stood by the lake after leaving the party, listening to distant music and pretending to hear laughter. I knew she was still there, dancing with him again. I could have gone back, confronted Bobby, and settled it then and there. I faced many attacks as a scrawny kid in South Boston, trying to keep up with boys who had no patience for weakness. I fought, lost, learned to take a punch, and survive, but I had never felt as knocked down as I do now. This wasn't about fighting or injuries. This was about realizing that the fight ended long before tonight. It wasn't the knock that scared me. That wasn't the reason I hesitated. She looked at me, challenging me to respond to Bobby's provocations. She allowed him to touch her, hold her, and move his hands over her as if he had every right. I always knew it deep down. I ignored it and pushed it away. I can't now. She had given herself to him once, and no matter how much time passed, that part of her life never belonged to me. How do you create a life from something unreal? I leaned against a tree, looking up at the dark clouds, wishing I could turn back time and fix the past. How do you forgive someone who meant everything to you when they've given themselves to someone else? Did they mock me? Did she really say I was just a joke to her? Stumbling footsteps brought me back to reality. Someone crashed through the brush, boots scraping against roots and gravel. I knew who it was before I turned. I didn't plan to do anything. Fighting is pointless. Punching him didn't change the betrayal, so I was just as shocked as he was. I hit his jaw, and he fell back. He didn't cry. He just exhaled sharply as the impact stole his breath. I pushed him away hard enough to make him stagger. He jolted from the blow and let out a deep groan. I swung again for his groin, but he twisted at the last moment, and my boot hit his thigh instead. He reached out, grabbed my leg, and pulled me off balance. I hit the ground hard, my back against the dirt, but I quickly pushed up onto my elbows. I saw him rise as my vision adjusted to the dim light. My college ring must have cut his skin. Jesus, Lyle, he said, wiping the wound with his hand. Didn't expect you to sneak up on me like that, but at least you finally showed some courage. His voice became lower and more threatening. I'm going to hurt you, and afterward, I'll let everyone, including Diana, know how pathetic you are for starting this. I was still getting up when he lunged. He slammed into me, knocking me down. His fist hit my skull hard. I didn't see it coming. A loud ringing echoed in my ears, and my left eye went dark. My breath caught, heavy with a metallic taste. Next, a stronger punch. The world spun, and I lost my sight and thoughts. Did he blind me? He shifted above me, adjusting his weight, preparing to finish this. Instinct, or perhaps desperation, took over. I turned my head as his punch came down. His fist brushed by me, and he staggered from the momentum. It was my opportunity. I rolled away and got up quickly. I pushed myself up despite the pain in my ribs. I kicked Bobby in the face as he pushed himself up to his knees. His head snapped back with a crunch under my heel, and he fell onto his back, groaning. I kicked again, but he was quicker than I thought. He struck, his fist hitting my stomach hard. My body froze. Fire pierced my ribs. I fell back, struggling to breathe. Something's off. Each breath felt like a knife in my chest. Ribs are broken. Bobby got onto all fours, breathing heavily. He raised his head, and I noticed it. Something wild flickered in his eyes. This is no longer a fight. He wanted me gone. I wouldn't let him bring me down again. If he overpowers me this time, I won't recover. I sidestepped as he lunged, causing him to crash forward. He steadied himself with one arm and reached out with the other for balance. I reacted without thinking. I took his arm and pulled it back, pressing my forearm into his spine to pin him down. Something happened. Bobby yelled. He thrashed beneath me, trying to shake me off, but I held on tight. I twisted his arm again, this time harder. His screams pierced the night. No one seemed to hear him, and no one was coming. He rolled onto his side, gasping, his body shaking from the pain. I dropped onto his chest before he could push me away, one knee on his forearm and the other on his elbow. He gasped, pain leaving him silent. I drove my knee into his elbow once, then again, and leaned in, pressing my weight down to keep him pinned like a wounded animal. I let him go and rolled onto my back. I'm no longer afraid of him. He held his injured arm to his chest, rocking back and forth, breathing heavily. I didn't feel guilty. This creep humiliated me, destroyed my marriage, and took my family away. No, I didn't feel bad. The distant hum of southern rocks drifted through the trees. The party continued. No one noticed what happened here. No one was concerned. I faced him again and took hold of his broken arm. Bobby flinched and tried to raise his other hand, but I twisted his wrist sharply. A sudden pain hit him, and he groaned, his body going limp. "You're worthless," he spat, his voice weak but bitter. "You broke my arm, and you don't care." His breath caught. "You won, got it? Let me go? I'm looking for a hospital." "1 minute, Bobby." I crouched, meeting his gaze. "Let's have a quick chat." He muttered, "Go to hell. I'll handle it myself." I elbowed him in the ribs, twice. He flinched from the blow. He struggled to breathe as he stumbled back. I grabbed his right hand and pried his fingers apart. He couldn't fight back. I gripped his pinky tightly with my thumb and forefinger. "I'm going to ask you some questions, Bobby," I said, my voice steady. "Will you answer honestly?" He stared at me with swollen eyes, breathing shallowly. "Go screw yourself," he said. I slowly bent his pinky back, feeling resistance until the joint cracked sickeningly. The finger dangled at a strange angle. His eyes widened, and he opened his mouth to scream. I punched him in the gut, just below his ribcage, before he could make a sound. He gasped for air, his body shaking as he fought to breathe. I waited as his chest heaved, muscles twitching while he focused on the pain. I spoke only when I saw recognition in his eyes. "This is how it works, Bobby. If you lie or say something I don't like, I break a finger. When you run out of fingers, I'll use your toes. If there's more to address after that, then bones heal, but some fractures remain. Understood?" His face showed anger, but he nodded, his voice rough. "Do you think you're in charge now, Lyle? Okay, feel free to ask your questions. One day, this will change. When it happens, you'll disappear completely. Your body will never be found." I tightened my grip on his mangled hand and said, "Maybe. You're on the ground now. How long have you been with my wife?" He was silent for a moment. He smirked. "This time? Before?" I tightened my jaw. "I already know about it. Since we got married." Bobby's smirk disappeared. His voice was calm and casual when he spoke. That only made it worse. "For years." I felt a knot in my stomach. "For years." He agreed. "Yes." My voice broke. "How? When? How frequently?" Bobby exhaled slowly, as if remembering something dear. "I always wanted her, Lyle. I did everything since the day she married you. Visiting her at work, stopping by her house, appearing down, telling jokes to cheer her up. She never gave in. It drove me mad." His bruised face twisted into a semblance of a smile, but it wasn't real. "About 4.5 years ago, we met at a gas station. Unpredictable. She simply asked if I wanted to grab a coffee, no flirting or teasing. At first, nothing happened. Then again, nothing happened for 6 months. She kept coming to me. I hardly breathed as he went on. One night, she came to my place. Lyle was a different, wild woman, as if she hadn't eaten. She desired it, desired me. She was confident and direct. She was straightforward." His voice grew thick with satisfaction. "It was great." A sudden pain shot through him, silencing his words. He coughed, spat, and moved on. "I thought she'd leave you after that. The next day, I arrived at your house, went to get her, and she slapped my face. She yelled that she'd call the cops and get me arrested. I wanted her gone." He gasped, his body shaking with the memory. I was angry. She was a liar, a dishonest deceiver. He breathed out sharply and kept going. "I was gone for 3 months. Moved on. One night, she unexpectedly appeared at my door. Kept silent. Went directly to the bedroom. We stayed for 2 days. You took the boys to Massachusetts to see your mother. You said you'd be away for a week. We were together for 5 days. 5 days." He shook his head, looking past me as if lost in thought. "I believed she was mine again." His face fell. "As soon as you returned, she excluded me. When I saw her, she was polite and friendly, but distant. No contact, no indication she still desired me. That's how it's been for 4 years. She'd return to me every few months. We'd spend a day or two fighting. Then, she'd return home to you, pretending nothing happened." His words weighed me down. This wasn't weakness or a single bad choice. For years, for 4 years, she acted as the devoted wife while sneaking away to him whenever she wanted something. Otherwise, I couldn't give her something. Bobby screamed, shaking beneath me, but I held on tight. "Sorry," I said. "I wasn't paying attention." His red eyes met mine, full of unspoken resentment. "I will make you suffer, Lyle." I hardly heard him. My ears rang, and I breathed unevenly. I didn't want to learn more, but I had to. It felt like pressing a blade into a wound, knowing it would only hurt more, but unable to stop. I grabbed his ring finger. He tensed, thinking of fighting back, but then he slumped, defeated. He knew he couldn't hold me back. I said, my voice calm. She was with me for the money, nothing more, right? Bobby laughed softly and unevenly. You don't understand, do you? I squeezed his hand. Explain it to me. He coughed, breath wheezing through his split lip. She didn't need your money. I work in construction and earn almost as much as you. In a few years, her parents will divide their estate. She'll be wealthier than you can imagine. I tightened my jaw. Why is that? His smile came back, with a hint of something dark. She loves you, you know. I looked at him, my grip tightening. Does she love me? Is that why she sleeps with you? He laughed, grimacing in pain. You still don't get it. She wants to be faithful, but frustration and boredom build up inside her. When it gets too much, she screams for it. She comes to me, and I provide what she needs. My pulse throbbed in my head. He smirked at me and said she once told him she could fall asleep while he was on top of her. You're that exciting. Anger surged within me. You got her to sleep, Lyle, but what about me? I make her shout. Something broke within me. For the first time, I wanted to eliminate someone, and for a moment, I thought I might actually do it. I took another snap instead. His ring finger snapped in my hold. He writhed in pain, but I covered his throat, silencing his cries. When he stopped, I released him and wiped the sweat from my brow. Bobby gasped, eyes wide with panic as I reached for my belt buckle. Text, he croaked, please. I tilted my head. What do you mean? He trembled, fear seeping into his broken voice. I whispered to Bobby, tightening my grip. I may not have been enough for Diana, but I can promise you this. You won't be enough for anyone again. His breath caught as my fingers gripped my belt. Do you remember him? I kept going, my voice steady. The one whose wife used a kitchen knife in a creative way? They stitched him up, but things changed forever. I leaned in and whispered, I wonder what the lake fish think of you, Bobby. I should check it out. Bobby felt real fear for the first time. His confidence faltered, breath coming in sharp gasps. He believed I could do it. For a brief, unsettling moment, I thought I might. Nausea hit me. What was I doing? Harming a man because I didn't meet my wife's expectations? Was it because I couldn't satisfy her? She was the one who betrayed me, not him. He did what many men had done before. She was to blame. I let him go, stepping back as he curled up, instinctively protecting what I had tried to take. I felt a pounding headache and pain throughout my body, yet I pushed myself to walk away. His voice trailed behind me. Do you really think I'm the villain here? He shook his head and muttered. You make it seem like I'm the reason your world is in chaos. His voice trembled, not from pain, but from something raw and broken. You ruined everything, he said, his voice getting louder with each word. She was meant to be mine. She was going to marry me. She would have done that. Your boys? They were meant for me. She loved me. She would have. We've been together since childhood. We were great together. We had a connection you'll never grasp. You came in with your fancy words and books, discussing things she never imagined. You deceived her into believing she fit into your world. I halted and faced him. I can't believe you, I said, shaking my head. I was the best thing that happened to her. You can't get over that she chose me, not you. A harsh, broken laugh escaped his throat. You're probably right, Professor. I might still be struggling with it. His swollen lips formed a smirk. Look at her now. She gave it a shot. She made an effort to love you. She pretended she could live without passion. She tried to be the wife you needed. What about me? I hid in the shadows, waiting for her to recall what she truly wanted. You, unfortunate creep. You'll always come in second. When you touch her and she closes her eyes, you'll question who she's really thinking of. Guess what? You might learn to accept it. I walked away, leaving him in pain on the cold ground. Lyle stood before me, his face blank, his voice unnaturally calm. That's why he shared everything with me, Diana. I trust him. People tend to tell the truth when you break their fingers. I covered my mouth. Wow. For years, he repeated, his voice empty. For 4 years, he claims you called for him every time. Was he really bigger than me? Tears clouded my sight, and I breathed shallowly. His look said I had ruined everything good in his life, and it broke me. Yet, under the pain and betrayal, I still saw love. No, baby, I said softly. A bit, perhaps. This isn't the point. My voice broke. I'm not sure how to explain this. It has always been like that, since the beginning. No other man has done that to me. It felt like being electrocuted. It's not the right word, but it's the closest I have. I thought if I told you I felt something was missing, we could fix it. Experimented with something different. I'm not sure. Pills, toys, whatever. I wiped my eyes and shook my head. How do I tell the man I love that another man makes me feel things he can't? No one's ego would withstand that. His jaw clenched. Why didn't you leave if he was what you wanted? I whispered because he wasn't. The sex? Sure, but what about love? No, that was always you, Lyle. He softened for a moment, then wiped a tear from my cheek. He said quietly, I know you love me, but you don't love me, and that's what matters. I shook my head, choking back a sob. It wasn't sufficient. What I said was never enough. I stood still, watching him pack his things in the house. His bag, his computer, loading them into the car efficiently. I stood there with my arms wrapped around myself when he came back inside. I reached for him. They hovered between us, trembling. I whispered, I don't want this. We can fix this. There must be a solution. He said there isn't. He leaned down and kissed me. His lips tasted of salt, holding my tears. When he pulled away, he whispered, It's over, Diana. I'll always support the boys. I want to be part of their lives, but you and I are finished. I choked out because you hate me. He stared at me then, truly stared. What I saw there broke my heart again. No, he said, his voice filled with sorrow. I love you, which makes this difficult. He took a deep, shaky breath. You can't revive what's already dead. I hid my face in my hands, shaking with sobs. I heard the door close, but not open.